March 26, 2014. Guys, we talked about this on today's show, and we talked about it when I called in with Paul Beckley this afternoon. But here in the Phoenix area, over to the right at Scottsdale, there's reports that a meteor or fireball came in. It was very low. It was also reported a very similar object that came in over the northeast first. One thing that was very strange about it was large, it was slow, and it was moving sideways. Then the description, it said it looked like a comet streak behind the ball. Then it looked like it hit something and exploded. After the explosion, you could not see it anymore. And guys, this has happened before. It happened in Russia. Now, of course, they would not warn anyone in order not to panic the public, because really what would they tell you to do? They're not sure where those tight fragments would go. But let's go back and look at the Russian fireball that came in. You know, thousands of buildings were destroyed. A lot of people were hurt. But I want to go in and I'm going to show you a couple different close-ups. And then let's reverse this thing so we can take the glare out. I'm going to show you what happened. And it fits perfectly with the description from Phoenix. Now, remember, the guy said that, and this is American Meteor Society, and it's no longer in the pending files. It has been verified that it looked like a comet came in and hit the fireball. Now, a comet is not going to come in and hit a fireball in the atmosphere of the Earth. He's describing what he saw. He saw a missile. He saw something strike it and destroy this asteroid last night over Phoenix. This is exactly what happened in Russia. As they were telling everyone to watch 2012 DA-14, they were tracking this one for days, had everything pinpointed, and shot it down. Now, what they did was they exploded it. Now, let's reverse everything and look at it real close. Notice from this area, I'm going to stop it. It's moving faster than the rock. Check this out. Comes in, hits, strikes it, busts into pieces. Those fragments go out. Seconds later, it explodes, and that's what you see. That's what happened last night in Phoenix. Another thing I want to talk about, and you've heard it in the last month, there's been 300 quakes off Chile. This is the last week. I just went back 7 days, okay? A couple 6.0s in there. Now, this is a dangerous area like Cascadia, but this one has a more recent history. And with you have tsunamis involved and things like that. But let's go back 4 years to 2010. And there was a great quake there that had a tsunami. There was a lot of damage, okay? And this could be leading up to it because it's a record number of quakes. And I believe the entire Ring of Fire, especially this side, all the way up through Alaska, is very weak now. And it has to do, and it did back in 2010, when that great quake hit Chile, created a tsunami. A lot of people got killed. A lot of buildings were destroyed. A lot of damage happened, and it was because of the sun. I'll show you that. I want to go back. We'll go back in time. Let's look at 2010. This is one of the buildings in Concepcion, and split it in half. Now, it happened here. It created a tsunami, created aftershocks. This was 27th February 2010, 35 kilometers, 8.8 there. Many people registered it as a 9.1. Later downgraded to an 8.8. Notice the depth, 35 kilometers. That's right in line with all of these 300 quakes this month. Many of them are between 29 kilometers and 36, right in that area, right where we're looking at. Look at this building, guys. All the way from that floor up the side, it shook this area. Again, coastal areas were affected by a. Now, after that quake, it took 30 minutes for the first series of tsunamis to start coming in. And you can see the aftermath in some of these pictures, guys, along that area. And check this out. Reminds me of Los Angeles during that quake when the interstates were dropping. But 30 minutes after the first shock, consecutive tsunamis hit coastal towns. The 8 to 6 foot waves were recorded at the sea at Valparaiso, wave amplitude of 6.78. Now, you don't think that's much unless you live in low-lying coastal areas like here we do on the Gulf Coast. That's a lot, and it can happen that fast. Let's go back February 8th, 2 days before this. We had a massive sunspot, 1045. You can go to Space Weather, go back and through their archives and check this out, guys. But it started creating M-class solar flares. Then it started creating CMEs, radio burst. Look at the size of this. Now, it was caused, they're saying the radio burst was caused by a beam of electrons streaming through the sun's atmosphere. At this point, none of these guys we're looking at or talking about would mention the sun in an earthquake. So, but the research proves it. Let's go to the next date, the February 9th. Remember the quake on the 10th. It takes 2 days. All of a sudden now, geomagnetic storm watch, and they're getting ready to launch the SDO, my favorite satellite. Check this out, just so happens. That got delayed the next day because of high winds. But 1045 in the bottom. Now, over the past few days, active sunspot 1045 has hurled a series of coronal mass ejections towards Earth. You see this? Now, I'm going to go to the day of the quake, February 10th. Here you see the SDO launch was delayed, but geomagnetic storm warning over the past few days. Again, same message repeated. Then it says that they are not the kind of major CMEs that would spark auroras over, say, Florida, but they could spark very nice lights above the Arctic Circle. Guys, that is such a erroneous statement. How many times have you seen auroras over Florida? It takes an X-flare to throw them over Alabama. Anyway, guys, that area is weak. Cascadia is weak. If the sun starts picking back up in activity, we're going to have major problems in this area and in the northwest. From California, that 1,000-kilometer stretch up north. Remember, it took 5 minutes for that great quake in 1700s to put a 100-foot tsunami through that area, to go from California northward 3 states into British Columbia. So there's not a lot of time, and I know that it's hard to try to predict, but not only that, to try to prepare for something like that, especially if you feel like you're isolated or trapped in one location. But guys, all I can do is warn and talk about the things that I see here. You decide what you're going to do. Heads up, be safe.